What's cracking, everyone? My name is Bree.
And I'm Ryan. Hey guys, really quick, I just want to let you know that unfortunately during the original take of this video, this microphone up here was not working. Instead, my backup microphone on the other camera was working, so that's why the audio quality is not quite up to my standard. But thankfully, I had another microphone going. Otherwise, we'd have redone this entire thing, and we did not really want to do that. But we also did forget one other thing that I'll let Bree tell you about.
Yes, big shout out to Audio 46. Thank you so much for sending us the Focal Azurys and the Hadenys for this video.
And guys, I'll take advantage of one more thing and tell you, you're gonna want to stick around to the end of this video because we're gonna require your input to help us decide on the next part of this Hi-Fi for Bree series video. So, take a second, drop a like, subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already.
And we'll let you get back to the video.
Thanks, guys.
And we are on video 3 of the second edition of the Hi-Fi for Bree series.
Season 2, headphone edition, and you guys all know I love my headphones, and I think Bree's starting to as well.
I really am. So after that first season, when it was mostly IEMs, this was a pretty exciting, new season.
Side, or the light side, the good side.
The good side.
Headphone side.
So today we are covering the Focal Azurys and the Hadenys.
See how she said the Hadenys because we had to Google it to learn how to pronounce these. And I actually did that before I did the video on these, which I will drop that somewhere in here because I just did the review for both of these headphones, but you haven't seen the video, right?
I mean, we try to keep this as authentic as possible. So I think I went on to like your video, but I have not actually watched it. So, I think there was even a moment where I had asked if I was going to notice a big difference between the two. And you even shot me down and was like, wait till you listen to it.
That's how we roll. Now, speaking of one more thing, these are on the lovely Grumpy Gooses, or that's a grumpy, they're on a Grumpy Goose stand. And I bring that up because I'm always getting questions on my videos of, hey, what headphone stand is that? That's a dope headphone stand, whatever. It's a Grumpy Goose. And you even love
it. Was really cool, like when they do the release, because they only release so many times a year. So when they do the release and you see all the different kinds of woods and styles, it's really cool.
It is. And I will, I'll link that in the video here. Chris, by the way, his name is Chris O'Neill. You guys need to look him up. He's the maker of the Grumpy Goose, and he does such a good job with these stands. So I'll link that.
Yeah.
But sorry, back to the Hadenys and the Azurys.
Yes. And honestly, I was really excited for this pairing because in our first series, I really loved the Batiste. So it was nice to get to try 2 more Focal headphones with that. So.
And don't kid yourself. I called them the Bathis when I first saw it, and so did she. So we know now it's Batiste.
I mean, it does look like it says Bathis. So
yeah, we're not French. So Focal, by the way, is in France. I really had to think about that a second. Yes, they are.
Okay. I'm like, is that a true statement?
Yeah, they are.
Okay.
All right. Well, Vanna, since you've got the Azurys in your hand there, and I know you got the other one, let's hear what you think about build and comfort.
Yeah. So starting out, I just love this color blue. I just think it's beautiful. I love the way Focal does this kind of metal and fabric look. Overall, I don't know. There's something about Focal headphones that just, draws my attention to them.
Yeah. And just so you know, this here, the yoke part of it is magnesium. So it's a lightweight metal. And the grill, they actually call that their honeycomb grill, which I think kind of makes sense when you notice the shape of it. And I completely agree with you on that.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, even for the Hadenys, I'm not typically like a brown fan, but this is a good brown. This one, it's still attractive. So.
It's stunning. It really is. And to me, it makes me think of coffee. And I think that's an interesting point you make because with these headphones, you can kind of pick your flavor of what you gravitate towards. Now, I gravitate towards the brown personally. I think the blue's a little too pretty for my taste, but to each their own, right? I mean, when it comes to that. So, but I could see this, not trying to be judgmental, but I could see someone like you gravitating towards the powder blue color.
Yeah. And that's going off just look alone. But yeah, I mean, they're a beautiful headphone. So, and then, like I was saying, nice cushiony ear pads. We have a nice cushiony headband. Wearing them, very lightweight, comfortable. they're nothing fatiguing about them. So very, you know.
And I know the pads are a little bit on the small side, at least for me. So did you find your ears like hitting the inner side of the cups or anything like that?
No, I didn't have any issues with that. I felt like it was a perfect fit for me, but I am curious about you because I mean, you've got a bigger head than me or most men, right?
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, no, I do. And that is the thing with Focal. What I will say about these that I like though versus something like the Radiance or the Clear MG that I owned was those had leather pads on them or suede pads, and that got hot. These being that breathable fabric material, I think was smart on Focal's part, just my opinion, because it is more breathable, doesn't get as hot or uncomfortable.
Yeah. And I know with even the Batiste, I don't sweat easily. And yeah, those pads made me sweat.
We did have one issue with the Batiste.
We did.
Almost.
Which, yeah. So Ryan had a little mini panic attack because, you know, we don't own these products. So, but with the Batiste, my makeup had ran off, like kind of wore off onto the pad. So we were trying to clean that off of there.
It came off. I mean, it was a leather pad, but it does cause some concerns, I think.
Yeah,
and you brought that up.
I didn't want to take the risk, but I made sure that when I went into this listening that I did it at the end of the night. Once I was showered, makeup off, I wasn't even going to chance if makeup runs off on these, but I could see that happening. And, you know, female makeup it's a pain in the butt. So, if you're not wearing makeup, if you're a man, you know, even if you have oilier skin, the headband for female and men, you might have hair products and whatnot. So I could see potentially that kind of wearing off and making maybe some dark stains on the fabric.
It's a legit concern. I actually did mention that in my video too, because I mean, I think it's just something you got to consider. Thankfully, the pads are replaceable, just not the band up top. So
yeah. And since I already have this in my hands, we'll just go ahead and start with the Azurys.
Yeah, and actually, if you don't mind, why don't you tell them what you use to pair this up with? Although I think everybody kind of knows at this point.
Yeah. Yeah, so it's my Cayin RU7. So that's what I listen to, all my IEMs, headphones.
And these are very portable, very easy to drive. So I'm sure it worked really well for you when you plugged them in the right end.
Yes.
To
headphone. Be fair, this guy told me to plug them in that way.
Yeah, so this wonderful cable here has an inline mic on one side and the other side's angled. I didn't think it mattered. Just plug it in. It matters. You plug the straight side into the headphone and the angled side into your source, because if you don't, it doesn't sound right, does it?
Yeah, no, it makes a difference. So make sure you plug it in right.
And don't take my advice for anything. Well, to actually do that, but not this time.
Yeah. So basically going off of just initial with like sound, I felt like these headphones were a little confusing for me. I felt like the vocals felt almost tunnel-like they are way back here, and we had sound coming out like the sides. So I was kind of confused as why the vocals were so low. Turn the volume up. Naturally, the instrumentals come up. And at that point, by the time the vocals were where I liked them to be, it felt like the vocals and the instrumentals were just kind of competing with each other, which wasn't that enjoyable.
Yeah. And, you know, I kind of get what you're describing there. But before we get to that, I am curious, like, what did you think of the bass response in the Azurys?
The bass was good for me. I don't need a lot of bass, but I want there to be some bass. And so it was good for me. I think that it kind of outshined one of the other headphones that I've already went over as far as,
Probably the Omega. I think that's what you're thinking of. Because I know you said the Omega was pretty good with bass, but there was a couple of tracks here and there that wasn't quite there for you from a bass response standpoint. So some of the music that I listen to that's got a lot of like instrumentals, a lot of vocals harmonizing and whatnot. With the Omega, it felt very jumbled, and it wasn't really, I didn't like the way that it came across with that headphone with bass.
With bass. Yeah. But with this headphone, those songs were perfect. So I mean, yeah,
good deal. And I think, mid-range, you kind of started with that when you talked about that tunnel and the softness of it, because I feel like this one the mid-range, that's got your presence region for your vocals. So from what I'm understanding, what you're describing is the presence region just isn't quite there for you.
So it was kind of a couple things. As I said, it was a very confusing listen for me. I had artists that, you know, had deeper voices, somebody like Eddie Vedder, Bon Iver. Those vocals came through great. Yeah, no doubt. And then when I got more into some other female artists, more, you know, higher vocal male artists, there was a level of lower tones that was kind of like missing from their voices. So that's where I'm like, how do you have the two? Like,
and I think that's cool you say that, because I remember thinking Jelly Roll as an artist, like his voice is a little bit in the upper registry, and I didn't get a lot of presence from his voice on this headphone as I did with other artists. So I think what you're describing there to me is kind of what I thought too, that it just doesn't have, as you get further into the upper mid-range, it kind of tapers off a little bit. And, you know, if you like that, which I know you do, you're not going to like that quite as much in the Azurys. So I'm not really surprised there.
Yeah. And like, I felt like it also just kind of smoothed over some voices. It makes a very pleasant listening experience. And I think that's why I don't really care for like warmer headphones, because of, you know, it can do the same thing. But when it kind of smooths over a voice and makes things just pretty, and it kind of takes away some of the substance to the singer's voice. Sure. That's where I kind of, you know, I can listen to it. It's pretty, but it's not necessarily what I want to listen to.
So that makes me curious then what you think on like staging and things like that as we get into treble, sparkle, all of that stuff.
Yeah. So staging, I would say it's not bad. I just prefer a bigger stage. So, and then the more I turned the volume up, it came very closed in.
Makes sense.
Yeah. So I mean, I don't have to have the stage, but I would have preferred a little bit more stage from it.
I would guess that, again, if we were going back to the Omega that you seemed to like so much before, the stage in the Omega would definitely beat out something like this to you.
Yeah.
To be fair. So closed back headphone, it is hard to get staging right with a closed back headphone. But overall, I'm curious, because this doesn't sound the most positive, which is, it's your impression.
Yeah.
How would you rate this if I were to tell you, like, give me a rating out of 5?
I would have to probably say maybe a 2.5. So.
Yeah, and I think that's exactly what you've been describing. So, and that's your opinion, that's your impression. So.
Yeah.
Okay.
And moving on to the Hadenys. I think I messaged you and I was just kind of like, this is a breath of fresh air coming right off of these into this. Yeah. So I think I got like 3 songs in and I was like, oh, mine's already made up.
It reminded me so much of your experience with the Batiste, to be honest, because you kind of had that same reaction with this one.
Yeah.
Which I wasn't really surprised, to be honest.
Yeah, no, you know, for how I like vocals to hit, for, you know, what I like in, you know, just overall, it definitely was more my style of a headphone.
Yeah, and I got to ask, just to compare them again, so bass response on this one?
For the most part, the bass response was very good. It was very similar to this one, but there was one difference that I noticed. And I think in the past, I've always just thought like a song had bass or it really didn't. Mm-hmm. And I didn't really know that there was differences to bass. Oh, yeah. So I think I had told Ryan, I felt like overall it did really well, but then there were certain songs, there was just a different kind of bass. Like the song didn't sound the same to me as what it would on maybe other headphones.
So I'm going to see if I can help here a little bit and just say that I think what you might be trying to describe is impact and attack. So the Hadenys, in my opinion, has more of that attack nature of the bass, to where it hits you harder, whereas the Azurys seems to sustain the bass more, at least in my opinion, when I listen to it. So something like this, you might get that hit, but it'll flutter off a little bit faster, if that makes sense. Did you?
Yeah. No, I completely. Yeah. Okay. And I had never experienced that with another headphone. So this was very interesting for that. But I wouldn't say it was bad, because most of the songs came out.
It wasn't lacking a bass, in other words.
No, definitely not lacking. It just, I noticed just a slight tweak.
So similar experience to the Omega, you would say?
Yeah. I mean, I would say it's similar in the sense that like it has good bass. Although I will say, just like we said with the Azurys, I think that like for the songs that I listened to, the ones that the Omega was not hitting on, this one, just like the Omega, hits it. So
okay.
Yeah.
So you'd probably rate this a little bit better then.
Yeah.
And okay, that's good.
Yeah.
What about now? It sounds like you hated the mid-range on this headphone, right?
No. Like I said, this headphone's more what I like to listen to. I felt a lot of presence from the artist. I got my instrumentals. Like overall, this was more up my alley.
I am curious about one thing, because to me, this one, I agree with you, but this one could be one of those situations where if you turn it up too loud, you may get a little too much presence and introduce what some people call shout, things like that. Did you ever get any uncomfortable?
No, I don't think there could ever be too much presence for me. So
just wait. Maybe not with this one.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. That's cool. Now, what about treble, rounding it out, sparkle, stage? What do you think?
To me, the stage was very similar between the two. It wasn't very big. I didn't really notice there being much of a difference between the stage. I feel like maybe there should have been, but I didn't necessarily notice.
So I guess what I'm more curious about then between, stage between the two is maybe depth. And I'll explain that really quick. Like, depth to me is being able to pick out when there's layers of music, or like if you got a vocalist here, but maybe the instruments are behind her, and being able to decipher between that. That's not necessarily a big stage, but it is giving you some depth. And did you feel that at least?
Yeah, no, I definitely felt like the instrumentals, especially on songs where there's multiple, I felt that I was able to hear those different pieces. But
I know you like stage, and I know that was something that you liked about the Omega.
Mm-hmm.
Now, would you say the Omega is a little bit bigger on stage than this headphone?
Yeah, it's probably bigger in stage.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that's fair. I mean, that's kind of what I thought you were going to say, but I was curious. But not bad is what you're saying.
Not bad. Like I said, I'd be happy listening to this. It wouldn't throw me off to not have that big stage. I just like a big stage.
And it's a good topic or an interesting topic, because there are people that say there is no such thing as stage. It just has to do with how things are separated from your head and your ears, and how big it is on the ear cups, and all kinds of other things, and head stage. And
interesting. I didn't know people said that.
That's for another topic altogether. But stage is not important to some people as it is to others. So that's why
I love a headphone with great stage. So.
All right. So rating this one out of 5 stars, knowing that you're still going to listen to more headphones, what do you think?
I would probably give it close to a 5. Yeah.
Okay.
Close to a 5.
Going to be tough to beat then. Close to a 5. All right. Challenge accepted. All right. Very good. All right. So speaking of challenge accepted, and that YouTube magic just separated these headphones apart. Reach behind you there. You've got a headphone sitting behind you on the desk there that I put these in behind us. I didn't really tell Bree why. Do you know what headphone this is?
Well, I can read that it's the Aria Organic.
She can read. All right. Yes, it is the Aria Organic. You have listened to this previously in the past, and I remember you really did enjoy a track on this headphone way back when I did the review on it. So if you don't mind, set that down on the desk there in front of you. And do we know what this headphone is that doesn't have the writing on it?
That is the Bokeh Open?
Yes, it is. Yes. And I am currently doing a review on this headphone, but you have not even listened to it yet, other than at Can Jam.
I did hear it at Can Jam, but it was when it was still kind of in the
prototype
testing
stage.
Prototype.
He wasn't finalized.
So I don't know what the final product is.
So go ahead and set that one down. And to round things off, I know you know what this headphone is.
Yes. So this is the ZMF Auteur.
Auteur.
Auteur
Classic.
I don't think I can say it, but
yeah. Auteur Classic.
Auteur.
So I brought these in here because this is kind of the next progression for what I want you to listen to, which is why I said, are you sure that's a 5 out of 5 headphone? But it is right now, right? For your impressions. I think any of these here are going to be fun to talk about. And so this is my challenge to the viewers, guys. I would like you to choose what 2 headphones she is going to listen to next between the Auteur Classic, the Bokeh Open, and the Aria Organic. Pick 2 of these for Bree to listen to, because I'm personally like really excited to see what you think of these, and they might take a little bit more than your RU7, but you know, I've got you covered on that one. So what do you think?
I'm up for the challenge. I'd love to hear what everyone thinks. Drop them in the comments, and we will decide which.
I think what I'll probably do, I'll probably put a poll on a community chat just in case we don't get enough response on this video to make sure we get enough to know what you're going to listen to next. But this is going to be the next part in the Hi-Fi for Brief series. So
I'm excited.
Yeah, me too.
And with that, we'd like to thank you for watching this video. Please make sure you like and subscribe to the channel and drop those comments on what two headphones you want to see me pair up next.
Yes, very important. Please don't forget to do that. And guys, I as well would like to thank all of you for taking your time to watch this video, and we will
see you in the next one.